Hey guys, it's Sky, and this is What's So Funny. So, as you can see, I'm not dressed how I normally would be dressed. I'm actually dressed for an open mic tonight at Apartment Pit Stop, and it's going to be kind of Halloween themed, so what better way to go than as Bluey? But this is a very special, you know, food for thought because this is more about food for thoughts are always special for me, but for this one, this is more of a deep dive into how my personal life and how comedy go hand in hand. I don't really talk about my personal life well, I do and I don't, but I never put it out publicly to where they've ever intertwined. And in the last probably week, they've intertwined to the point where it feels like comedy is not taking a backseat, but it's getting hard to get on stage. In the last week, it's getting better where I can get back on stage and my headspace is where it needs to be. But in the last week, I skipped an open mic, and that's not normal for me. And my buddies who have seen me go to open mics, who've seen me go on stage, and I made a post about it, so that was obviously a really dead giveaway. But when I'm making a post about it is when I'm kind of subconsciously going like, hey, just heads up, I'm not in a good headspace. That's huge for me because it used to be when I was younger, I'm not going to tell you I'm not in a good headspace. I'm going to just not be in a good headspace, and it's not something I'm ever going to share. As I've gotten older, I'm getting better at saying, hey, I'm not in a good headspace, just letting you know and letting it be out there in the open. But now that I have a whole community of people who more or less I'm working with and through, I kind of need them to be in the same boat with me. And so now I have to be like, hey, by the way. And for instance, one of the nights I went to an open mic, and it was not bad, but my head was not in the game at all. And it was to the point that I was like, hey, I'm going to do my set, but then I gotta rush out of here because my head's not where it needs to be, and I can't focus for beans. And I felt really bad, but at the same time, what needed to be taken care of needed to be taken care of. And in the future, I will come back and tell you guys what was being talked about and why I felt so secretive. A handful of people know what is being talked about, or if I haven't said it yet to those people, you will be in the loop here soon, but publicly I am not going to go into detail about what it is, but certain people already know what it is about, others don't. It just will not be publicly yet, unfortunately. But in terms of my mental health and everything, I'm okay. It's not perfect, but I'm okay. I'm taking my meds, I'm okay. It's just the other day I was kind of feeling like I was on a precipice. So when you saw that Facebook post that I felt like I was like eating a soup with a straw or eating a soup with a fork or whatever the fuck I said, yeah, because I was super fucking stressed, and I'm not kidding. But now I'm at the point where I feel like more of myself. Comedy does help. Comedy gives me an escape. Comedy is also like my second service dog because literally my service dog is getting older. It's getting hard for him to do shit. So comedy is my second service animal right now until I can get my so-called service animal. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's very hard right now. And with everything going on, I feel like I'm juggling knives and they're all on fire, and I'm on a unicycle that's on fire with the whole room that I'm in on fire. It's not fun. And quite frankly, it's been a balancing act. It has. But I'm always trying to find the good side of every situation that's thrown at me. And quite frankly, that's how I handle every situation. Luckily, I have the right people surrounding me. I have such a good support team, and that's what's, important. Now, I kid you not, in this video, I can't believe I'm going to mention it, the way the light is hitting me, if I go closer to my camera, I feel like I'm squinting my eyes. But if I back up, my eyes get wider because of just the way the light's hitting me. That's why you keep seeing that. And it's honestly kind of funny, not gonna lie. So, but, that is where my mental health is right now. It's kind of on the mixture of a precipice and a tightrope, more or less. And in my podcast later, I will share with you more. But obviously, the food for thought is only 10 minutes long, so I can't really go into detail. But I will say that it is better than it was a week ago, where I felt like everything was on fire and I was juggling fiery everything. And then the other thing with comedy, comedy does always put a smile on my face. It does give me a lot of hope. But obviously, comedy doesn't pay the bills. Do I want to one day? Well, it doesn't pay the bills. Do I want it one day? Yes, I do. But I know it doesn't pay the bills. Hopefully one day I can make a big career out of it. But I said the same thing about being an actor. The difference is, one was more realistic than the other. With comedy, I don't have to memorize lines after lines after lines. With comedy, I can make up what I need to. And then, quite frankly, there was an intro I had to memorize. I'm the one that wrote it, so I was the one that got to memorize it. And I have to play that back tonight, actually. Because, quite frankly, I don't remember the intro. I remember me and Nicole were writing it down, and quite frankly, I still don't remember the intro. And I should probably play it later so I don't forget it. Because it is the intro to... I might not even do it tonight. I might set up it completely different now that I'm wearing my onesie. So, you never know. I might work on that one, because I only came up with the joke a few days, like 2 days ago, if that. And it's so funny to me as I grow better at being a comedian, like keeping up with time. And I've mentioned this before when I do, like, you know, working on my camera or my phone. The reason that I keep so well on time is when I'm making a video, I'm watching the time go up. But it's so funny because the first time I did a video, I didn't really know how much time was going to go by. Like, I didn't know how much time I was going to talk. When I did Food for Thought, there was no time limit. It was just how long could I talk and how long was I going to make it. It wasn't really going to be 10 minutes. It was just, okay, I have a subject, A, B, C, and D. Once those are talked about, I'm done. Which happened to be about 10 minutes. So, or 10 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. I don't remember what it actually was. So then I narrowed it down to, okay, it's going to be 10 minutes long and that's it. And then the podcast was like, okay, the first podcast was like 22 minutes and some change. So then we narrowed that down to 20 minutes and that's it. So whatever the podcast was, the Food for Thought was going to be half of that. And that's how I came up with the idea, quite literally. Because podcast was, again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And once those were taken care of, that was it. And that's literally how I come up with the podcast for What's So Funny and then Food for Thought, which is kind of its sister podcast. So that's literally how I come up with it. It's nothing special. It's just what I do. And Food for Thought is more of the emotional side of What's So Funny. What's So Funny is the whole name of the podcast and the whole name of the channel. But then Food for Thought is the emotional side of it, so I don't have to necessarily say it in big podcast. But then I can side note it and be like, they're more like side notes, if you will, of like, oh, you know, that was very interesting, or that was, you know, and then the podcast just goes into, oh, we did this, and this over the weekend, and then we just don't kind of say the sub notes to it, and then later I can be like, during the podcast, you know, when I talked about X, Y, and Z during the podcast, and X, Y, and Z happened, this is how I feel, and whatever, and share my feelings, and that's just what I do, so I love it. There's not as many Food for Thoughts as there are podcasts because I only do the podcast ever so often because there's only so many thoughts that I can put out at a time. There's not a limit to when I do them. I don't do them every day, but it's just when I kind of have a thought of, It's more of like the couple weeks that go by, and then I think about what I did for the couple weeks and like, how do I feel about that? So... But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. And I will talk to you next time on Food for Thought here on What's So Funny. Okay? Bye.